Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How is everyone on this day of the energetic felling of the Kosciuszko Bridge? It's my pleasure to welcome you to a milestone for Greenpoint. By the way, I represent Greenpoint. And for New York City. Can everybody see that beautiful bridge in the background, as they say in Brooklyn? It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Before I begin, I want to recognize some of the special guests that we have here today. Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. Assemblymember Aravella Samotas. New York City Council member Elizabeth Crowley.
Yay.
New York City Council member Barry Grodenchik.
Yay, Barry.
Steve McInnes, president of the New York City District Council of Carpenters.
Yay, Steve.
Arthur Dibinowski, Pulaski Day Parade, former Grand Marshal. By the way, today is really a day for the Kosciuszko Bridge and the Polish people, and it just happens to be the day of the Pulaski Parade. So congratulations to the Polish community of Greenpoint. Larry Gilman, Vice President of Operations, Skanska USA Civil Northeast. By the way, I haven't been to Sweden, but when you look at that bridge, you can see how all of the bridges in Sweden are built. And it's a beautiful bridge, isn't it? Acting Commissioner Kathy Calhoun, New York State Department of Transportation. Wahid Albert, Chief Engineer of the New York State Department of Transportation. And last but not least, the Honorable Frank Sedio. Frank, where are you, Frank? So the history of this bridge, the Kosciuszko Bridge, is really intertwined with Greenpoint and the Polish community. The bridge, originally called the Meeker Bridge, some called it the Meeker Avenue Bridge, really helped alleviate traffic from our local streets. But as many of you know, it had become a bottleneck. And I guess when you see it in light of this new bridge, kind of an eyesore and a relic. And we have a governor who, as I said earlier, wants to build bridges.
Yeah.
By building this beautiful bridge, we are once again honoring the famous general and engineer as well, General Tadeusz Kosciuszko, and the Polish community. The first span has already been done, and once we do this, we're going to make way for the second span so that Greenpoint will no longer be living in the last century, but finally moving into the 20th century, thanks to Governor Andrew Cuomo. So I just want to say that under his leadership, he's listened to the concerns of our communities. He knows, and not only, the Greenpoint community that has this beautiful bridge, but this is going to benefit the entire city of New York by allowing traffic to flow. By 2020, we'll have both sides up, and we'll see a major difference in traffic coming through Greenpoint and going towards Brooklyn and going towards Queens. So I thank Governor Cuomo, and I want to thank everyone who is helping to make this new bridge possible. So please join me now in welcoming another great New Yorker and a champion from New York, somebody who helped us get the funding, Governor Cuomo, for this bridge, the Honorable, my office mate, the Honorable Carolyn Maloney.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. And don't we have a great dean of the Brooklyn delegation in Joe Lintal serving us every day. And good morning to everyone. Isn't this a fun way to start the day with an energetic felling and building a new bridge for our communities? Woo! It is an exciting day for Brooklyn, Queens, and all New Yorkers. The governor has always been a champion of our neighborhoods here in Greenpoint and Williamsburg, a champion for Brooklyn and Queens, and this new bridge is a clear sign that he has not forgotten his roots. The beautiful first span of the Kosciusko Bridge has transformed our skyline and is already improving the experience of drivers and of residents in the area. And we cannot wait to see the second span rise up, and we can't wait to see the felling. Now, from the beginning, Governor Cuomo has ensured that this project was driven by our community. We thank our very own community liaison, Christine Holowak. Governor Cuomo!
Christina!
Governor Cuomo recognizes how important it is to listen to us and to listen to the community, to the residents, to the business, and to provide their input into driving this process forward at every step of the way. This bridge was built with $670 million in federal funds. It is a testimony to Governor Cuomo's commitment to rebuilding our infrastructure all across our state. This governor doesn't just talk about it, he gets the plans off the table and into the ground, and he gets the job done. From new airports to new bridges, Governor Cuomo is spearheading major projects all across our state. So we are grateful that our governor is building for the future. Today, New York is setting an example for the entire nation to follow. So please join me in welcoming our New York State DOT Chief Engineer, Wahid Albert. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Good morning. We are excited today to mark another major milestone in this project. As we get closer to 8 a.m., we will begin a countdown leading up to the energetic felling of the approach spans of the former bridge. Energetic felling will clear the way for the completion of the second span at the new Kosciusko Bridge. As you can see in that beautiful rendering, two twin bridges, cable stay, state of the art. Once completed, the new bridge will go from 6 lanes to 9 lanes, plus a pedestrian and a bicycle shared use path.
All right.
We chose the energetic felling approach over others because it is the safest, most effective, and least intrusive method of lowering them. By dismantling the approach spans in one single step, the builders are significantly reducing the impact on the neighboring community. This is an innovative approach that avoids the more intrusive process of dismantling these sections piece by piece, which would mean more heavy equipment and more trucks for an extended period of time. It is also important to note that the process, which we have been preparing for since July, meets all New York codes, including New York City Fire Department and MTA codes. The process is being overseen by Controlled Demolition Incorporated, a premier commercial explosive demolition company with significant experience with this approach. In fact, Controlled Demolition has performed several major energetic felling in New York State, including the demolition of the grandstand at the New York State Fairgrounds in January 2016 as part of the transformative overhaul of the New York State Fair. The replacement of the former Route 219 bridge over Cattaraugus Creek in western New York in June of 2016. Also, the replacement of the bridge carrying State Route 213 over the Rondout Creek in the Hudson Valley region in January of 2017. They have also performed controlled demolitions of bridges across the country, including the Sunshine Skyway Bridge in Tampa Bay, the Parkersburg-Pilprayer Bridge in West Virginia, and the George P. Coleman Bridge in Virginia. Let me tell you a little bit about how this process works. Take a look at the rendering on the left side. Up on top, the Truss Queens approaches. On the bottom are the Brooklyn approach. We first made more than 1,600 cuts in steel members. As you see the red lines on each span, at the end of each span, including truss cords, stringers, and wind bracing to weaken the steel and allow a minimal amount of charges to be used. Small charges were then placed at key joints, and you see those red lines, top to bottom, on the bridge like tiny surgical instruments that will cut key steel connections. A total of 944 charges have been placed on the old bridge, totaling only about 12 pounds of charges per span. The charges are connected through small tubes to a computer-controlled trigger. Once detonated, the charges will cut the steel connection and gravity will do the remainder of the work. The approach spans will fall intact, a maximum of 30 feet, onto a landing area specifically prepared to minimize vibrations. We have installed cushioning berms ranging from 15 to 20 feet tall that consist of recycled concrete or soil and will absorb the impacts of the steel trusses. The process is designed to minimize the environmental impact and the effect on Newtown Creek, since protecting the creek has been one of our top priorities throughout the project. In fact, earlier this summer, we lowered the 5 million pounds center span onto a barge to protect the creek. By dropping the spans intact, we will ensure minimal dust and debris. And the berms in the landing area will ensure that none of the bridge falls into the creek when it comes down. Once on the ground, the 20 bridge approach spans will be rapidly broken up using conventional equipment and transported from the site. In total, 20 steel truss spans will be dropped, including 10 spans on the Brooklyn approach and 10 spans on the Queens approach, with a total length of 3,100 feet, or nearly 2/3 of a mile of bridge. When we are done, a total of 22 million pounds of steel from the old Brooklyn and Queens approaches will be recycled as scrap metal. So we are thrilled that you could be here to view this process. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership, we are making rapid progress to build the new Kosciusko Bridge, and we look forward to completing the remaining work and building the second span of the new bridge. Now, please join me in welcoming the Vice President of Pulaski Memorial Parade Committee, Arthur Dubnowski.
Yay, Arthur. Bravo.
Good morning. Dzień dobry. This is an exciting day for the Polish community in New York. It is especially fitting to mark this milestone of the new Kosciusko Bridge on the day of the 80th annual Pulaski Day Parade, which celebrates Polish pride in America. The parade celebrates the sacrifice General Kazimierz Pulaski, the father of the American cavalry, in the War of American Independence. But this year, in addition to celebrating General Pulaski, we are also recognizing the contribution of Pulaski Comrade-in-Arms, the American Revolutionary War hero, General Tadeusz Kosciuszko. So it is particularly appropriate that we begin this day here to witness the continued progress of the new Kosciusko Bridge, which is an honor to General Kosciuszko and an honor to the whole Polish-American community. Today we are closing an old bridge, but starting a new future, a better future for Polish Americans. The first span is already a magnificent world-class bridge, and we look forward to seeing the second span rise over the Newtown Creek. And we are especially grateful to Governor Cuomo for this honor. Since day one, the governor has been a friend to the Polish community. And like General Kosciuszko before him, the governor has proven that he too is a builder who is investing in New York and building bigger and better than ever before. So I'd like to thank Governor Cuomo for this commitment to rebuilding this bridge and for his ongoing support and commitment to the Polish American community in New York. Please join me now in welcoming 56th Governor of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
All right. Yay.
Thank you very much. What an exciting morning, isn't it?
Yes.
And boy, you look beautiful with the sun in your face, and it is a great morning. First, let's give Mr. Divinowski a big round of applause and thank him. It is poignant that we're working on the Kosciusko Bridge today, Pulaski Day Parade. We kept the name Kosciusko because the general was a great man, and that's an important part of the Polish heritage and the Polish contribution, and we wanted to preserve that, and we're very proud of that. Joe Lenthal, who is an assemblyman, has been working on this project for so many years. He was right, and without Joe's effort and insistence, we wouldn't be here today, so let's give him a round of applause. Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney got us the money from Washington, which is very important. Wahid Albert and the whole DOT team, headed by Kathy Calhoun, they've done a great job. Let's give them a round of applause. And to all my colleagues from Albany and city government who are here, this was a joint effort, and it took a lot of people to coordinate, so let's give them a round of applause. I'm excited. We've been talking about this for years. There was a lot of planning, a lot of charts, a lot of maps, and today it's happening. The Kosciusko Bridge had to be replaced. It was 78 years old. The structural integrity was questioned. It was built to handle 1/4 of the volume. It is a legendary bottleneck in the city of New York, and it has been for decades. I remember as a kid, my father would drive us from Queens to Brooklyn to go visit our grandparents. And the whole way through Queens, he was nervous and driving like a crazy man because he wanted to get to the Kosciusko before there was traffic. Except it was impossible to get to the Kosciusko before there was traffic. I think there's been traffic on that bridge and a bottleneck since the day it was built. So it couldn't handle the volume. So that had to be done. And this project will do that. We built the first span. The first span is up. It's beautiful. This will take down the original bridge, as you heard. An energetic felling. What does that mean? I don't know. I think it is like a new politically correct term for implosion. But they don't want to say implosion because that makes people nervous, so they say an energetic felling. I'm not going to say an energetic felling because I think it sounds crazy. But the way they take down large bridges now, you want to do it quickly, you want to do it safely, you want to protect the environment, is an implosion on the two ends of the bridge. The main span over the creek was brought down, put on a barge, and is gone. This is now the two ends. The two ends together are about 2/3 of a mile of bridge. So this is a lot of bridge that's going to come down. 900 explosions will go off at areas that were pre-cut, and in theory, both ends of the bridges come down. If that does not happen, Steve McGinnis and Frank Sedio will be responsible for the failed energetic felling, and they will be banned from the state of New York, and they'll have to live in New Jersey for the rest of their lives. So, just so we're clear as to who did what. But on a serious note, I want you to think about this on this beautiful Sunday. You look around this city and ask yourself, what makes New York, New York? What made us the special place on the globe? And they talk about the New York energy. They talk about the New York attitude. Basically, what it was that our forefathers had vision, had guts, had determination, and they built a place that was unimaginable. Everything they did was the first, the biggest, the best. And everything they did was ahead of its time. New York City subway system. I have an idea. Let's build 600 miles of subway, 400 miles underground. Longest bridge after longest bridge, Verrazano, George Washington, Empire State Building, tallest building ever. They were all about building and daring. And that building, that construction then generated the growth. And it developed that New York confidence and that New York attitude. Ask yourselves, what have we done in the past 100 years? You name a project that we have built in the past 100 years. We haven't. We've been living off the legacy of our forefathers. They built the Kosciusko. They built the tunnels. They built all this. It's our obligation to now build for the future. I was watching this young man holding his child, right? Our obligation is to leave this place a better place for our children. That's our obligation. We have to get to work rebuilding New York for a next century, so when our children grow up, New York has the same energy and the same vitality it had today. That's why we are so aggressive in our building program, because we're trying to make up for the past 100 years. We're building a new LaGuardia Airport. It should have been rebuilt. That should have been rebuilt 50 years ago. A new JFK, a new Penn Station across from the old Penn Station. Penn Station is a disgrace. Can you imagine coming to visit the great New York and you get off the train and you're in Penn Station? I'm surprised people don't get back on the train and go back to wherever they came from. Cashless tolling, we just finished. A friend of mine who isn't so bright called up and said, boy, something's really wrong at the Queens Midtown Tunnel. I just went through it and nobody collected the toll. No. Finally, we did all cashless tolling. Saves hours, saves time, saves money. That's the attitude, the energy that we have to bring. Leaving this place a better place than we found it. We built one span. This is going to be the second span. That picture shows what the two spans look like. They have offset towers, if you will, which we think is a very interesting design feature, that they're offset both on the horizontal, and this is going to be the first cable suspension bridge in the city of New York. And the Kosciusko Bridge was great and was ahead of its time, but with all due respect to the Kosciusko Bridge, the new Kosciusko Bridge is going to be elegant and beautiful and a landmark for the entire community. And this is a community that hasn't gotten the respect or attention it deserves. I'm an old Queens boy, and you see this chip on my shoulder? That's from growing up in Queens. When you grow up in Queens or you grow up in Brooklyn, you grow up in an outer borough. Now, they never tell you what the inner borough is. All they tell you is you live in an outer borough. And I always felt that the outer boroughs, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island, never got the same attention, never got the resources, never got the same amount of help they need. And this is an area that was industrial, that was polluted from the industrial manufacturing economy. We're cleaning it up, but I think the crown jewel is going to be that new Kosciusko Bridge. So today is an exciting day. Hopefully it all goes well. We'll build the second span, and we'll have something to really celebrate. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless. Great job. Great job, Governor.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fire!
Queens side looks like it came down cleanly.